This afternoon, the Queen's coffin will be placed on a gun carriage of the King's Troop Royal Horse Artillery for the silent procession to the Palace of Westminster and, of course, to Westminster Hall. The King will lead the procession from behind on foot with Princes William and Harry and other members of the royal family. From the streets of Westminster, we're joined now by our reporter, Jonathan Lee. Jonathan, scenes overnight pretty incredible as the Queen's coffin and hearse obviously arrived at Buckingham Palace. Wet and rainy, but it's certainly not putting off the crowds, is it?
Peter, last night the sense of occasion was just both extraordinary and magnificent. The silence as Her Majesty's coffin came closer to Buckingham Palace, the beating of the helicopter overhead, telling those who gathered in their thousands that their Queen was getting closer, and eventually they erupted into cheers as she pulled up in front of Buckingham Palace, did the circle around the statue which remembers Queen Victoria, and then eventually entered through the arch for one last time, one last night, effectively at home, back at the office too. And today the crowds are also turning out in their thousands. Westminster Hall is behind me. You need to understand the sense of occasion that this is a building itself which dates back to the son of William the Conqueror. We're talking almost 1,000 years. Westminster Abbey across the road, where the Queen was crowned and will eventually be laid or farewelled in a funeral, had a church on the site almost back to the 7th century, and thousands of people are turning out today. She'll be loaded onto a gun carriage. That gun carriage will be drawn not by horses because they move too fast. They'll be taken by sailors pulling the gun carriage with ropes. Of course, the Navy in this country is the senior service, and then you will have members of the royal family walking behind her. It is all supposed to be done in silence other than the rat-a-tat-tat of the drums, and then you'll have people throwing those flowers out onto the street. The sense of occasion is magnificent. It's like putting all of the Anzac Days you've ever been to into one moment, and it hasn't been seen like this since 1952 with King George VI.
And of course that naval connection is a lovely link to Prince Philip. We don't often see that sort of occasion here at home in Australia, so we'll watch that all very closely. The crowds have already started to mill around. I know leaving my hotel's pretty extraordinary security in place, and they're lining up at Westminster Hall. It doesn't open till later on this afternoon for the public to file past the coffin. What are people telling you on the ground?
I actually walked home at about 1 o'clock last night, Peter, and just the number of security officials on the ground. For instance, all the traffic lights have been taken down. You walk through the streets past Whitehall at the moment, it genuinely feels like you're in a war movie. Now, I want to bring in a couple of ladies on my left, if you don't mind. I've got Dawn and Fleur. Now, Fleur, I might get to you first because you've certainly made the long journey from Australia with great haste.
Yes, we've travelled 36 hours. We arrived last night about 9:15 and we've got up this morning and come straight here.
You've also put up a number of flags behind us. We've got the Royal Standard. We've also got a royal flag which represents all of the Australian states. Why does it mean so much to you?
I've always been a royalist and I just think the Queen is amazing. She's a great role model to all of us and she's achieved so much. So I'm absolutely blessed to be here.
When you think of Diana being the Princess of Hearts, what do you think the Queen will be remembered as?
Well, that's an excellent question. I think loyal and very family orientated.
Dawn, you certainly know something about service because you did serve. Yeah. Tell me the reason why you came today and how you will feel in your heart when you see Her Majesty go past you on that gun carriage.
Probably very emotional, very emotional. Very honoured to have pledged my allegiance to her when I was in the Royal Air Force. It's not just that she's the longest reigning monarch, but the human being. I mean, I don't think I'll ever meet or hear of anybody, all the kind words about her. I mean, she was just an amazing woman. Extraordinary. I've
seen actually a number of service personnel who've come out at different times and just said the words, "She's my Queen, she's my Queen."
Yeah, she's the Queen, and that's it, the Queen. We don't say Queen Elizabeth II, the Queen, and she was the boss. She was the boss of the country, not only our country, but other countries as well, including Australia. And the whole world respected her, and that is an amazing feat for anybody.
One final thing, I think in many regards she united people. We saw what she did in Northern Ireland. on so many levels, whether it be Catholics here in an Anglican stronghold.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, she was just a person that just accepted everybody. You know, I don't think there was anybody she didn't like. She was just amazing, truly amazing. Thank you very much for being here.
Peter, 4 days Her Majesty will lie in wait in state. Everyone will get their chance to see. But when Sir Winston Churchill was also here, it was said that there were two rivers. One was the Thames and one was the river, the line of people who turned out to see him. This will only be bigger.
I don't think you're wrong there, Jonathan Lee. Thank you.